How you doing, guys? It's the Lord Among Us from RuleTheWasteland.com, and today I wanted to make a video because I've done a lot of videos on things that people should do, things that you might consider having for prepping purposes, for self-sufficiency. So today I wanted to mention a few things that I think preppers should stay away from, specifically 3 things that preppers should not buy and should not stockpile for economic collapse, for any sort of disaster preparedness, general planning. These are certain broad categories, 1 or 2 specifics that I think you guys should stay away from because they're just not quality in general and will save you money and will overall be a better, more effective, more efficient prepping plan if you find alternatives for these items. The first one would be junk food, and I just have some Pop-Tarts here as an example. People seem to think these are like some sort of healthy breakfast food, and really they're not. The thing about junk food is, and I'm referring to a lot of prepackaged, highly preserved foods like this, there's a couple things wrong with these. First of all, they're not normally very cheap. A lot of this crap is expensive. These do have a lot of calories in them for the size. So for something like that, it might be worth having in a bug out bag or something like that, because this has over 400 calories in it, which is pretty impressive. But it's just not quality calories. There's a lot of sugar in these, a lot of processed wheat, but it's not whole grain. It's just the carbs in there. So you may get a little bit of burst of energy, but you're probably gonna feel like crap afterwards. And despite this fact that this stuff is loaded with preservatives, it doesn't usually store all that long or all that well. The expiration dates on these are not that far in the future. The packaging is normally pretty fragile. The items themselves are normally pretty fragile. This is already smashed in here and I just picked it up off the counter. And so I'm talking about stuff like chips, I'm talking about stuff like, you know, breakfast cereals, it's loaded with sugar, stuff like Pop-Tarts, just crap like that. There's a lot of prepackaged stuff. It's just stay away from that. You shouldn't even really be eating this stuff as part of your normal life anyway. And so I don't recommend it as part of a eat what you store or as a set it and forget it food storage where you just buy stuff and pack it away. Really won't work for that because it just doesn't last long enough to do that. Like maybe you'll get 1 or 2 years out of this stuff, probably still go a little stale, and all the sugar in it just isn't gonna last. And that's one of the things to look for is if it's junk food, first of all, just take a look at the ingredients list. When anything has a list of ingredients that big, it's probably junk food. You're gonna wanna have stuff that has just a couple ingredients in it. Second of all, stuff like enriched flour or just flour that's not whole wheat, sugar, corn syrup, that's the type of stuff that's in junk food. And you don't need that stuff in your diet. It's not a great preparation. It's more expensive, more fragile, doesn't last as long. There's just no reason to have a bunch of this stuff set aside for prepping. The second thing I would caution you guys against, because it's for the most part just not worth it, they don't work that well, they're probably gonna end up being a waste of money, is these self-charging items in a lot of cases, specifically like the shaking ones, like this flashlight. I don't know where I got this. It was part of a kit or something, or someone gave it to me, but they're incredibly difficult to actually charge up. Like technically, yes, they work, but to really generate enough electricity to be useful and to charge the thing, like you can see this thing is, every shake does generate a little electricity, but it's not a very effective way of doing it. And if you haven't built up the charge, you can't just turn it on and charge while you're using it, because you have to do this stupid jerky thing to just barely get a strobe out of it. A much better solution, let's see if I have one over here, is the Windup Flashlights. Like I like these Energizer Weather Readies, because if you hadn't done the charging ahead of time, like this thing has no charge left in it, you can at least pick it up and get a nice even light out of it without shaking around. I still think it's not great to have to use both hands like this, but I have seen a few like this that are have a spring-loaded mechanism where you can just squeeze it repeatedly. That's probably better because at least you can use one hand. You can see the light still going a little bit. But in general, it's much better to use something that has rechargeable batteries, maybe even a solar light like this hybrid light. And I'm gonna have links to both of these things in the description if you want to check them out, because this one you charge and then it holds the charge for, it's supposed to hold the charge for like 7 years once it's fully charged. Go through like thousands of cycles. There's other sorts of rechargeable flashlights and things like that that you can use, or end loop batteries people like, and just other ways to get power to lights and other things off the grid without having to sit there and manually charge up, because it's just not a very efficient way, especially for something small like this. And for things like the radios and bigger items like that you really have to use a lot of juice, it's just not a very good, not a very efficient way of generating electricity. It'd be much better to have solar power or any other really type of electricity generation, because the hand cranking is not that good. Sometimes it's useful to have some of those lying around. I do have a few of these, but definitely stay away from the hand shaking ones. You don't want to have to screw around with those. They're just a waste of time. They're a gimmick more than anything else. They're really not useful. And the third item, which I don't have anything here to show you because it's more of a digital product, is I would definitely caution you guys to stay away from all the gimmicky products out there that people are trying to sell, specifically lists and ebooks related to like 5 things you have to get or 50 things you have to get last minute before disaster, and that are really just preying on like fears more than actually trying to sell information. I have absolutely nothing against people who sell prepping and preparedness books. There's a lot of great ones out there that I bought. Maybe one day I'll even make my own if I think I can add something to the genre that hasn't been done already. But I'm specifically talking about like gimmicky type stuff online. Usually it's only physical, I mean it's not physical books, it's only digital material that is just preying on fears, like the one thing you need to have, and then they don't just give you that information for free. Like you know, all this information is out there in YouTube videos. Some of mine cover it. There's plenty of great websites out there. You can get all the that kind of information that you need from the internet, and certainly from a bunch of the good survival books that you can look up reviews on and everything. So don't waste your money on some of those really kind of gimmicky products that you'll see advertised in random places from people that you have no idea who they are. There's plenty of trusted people out there. A lot of them are giving away that information for free, and the ones that are selling them, you can tell it's more legitimate. So don't waste your money on thinking that these guys have found something that maybe you'd miss out on. It's just a money grab for the most part. So pay attention to that and just do your due diligence. So those are a couple things that I think you guys should stay away from when it comes to preparedness. If you want to save money, have more effective and efficient preparations, that would be junk food, crappy shake lights and other non-effective wind-up power source things, and gimmicky, just money grab sales techniques and tactics online that are targeted for preppers. So let me know if there's any other things that you guys have noticed that are specifically just don't work out the way they should and is best idea for preppers to stay away from, or just something that there's a really better alternative for. You can let me know in the comments, and I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you later.